Hello, my name is Bianca Noir, and I haven't been feeling very well lately. In fact, I had a couple of days where I just felt disconnected from everyone and everything, and I kind of felt like spiritually, like maybe I was out of body or really, really in my body. If you understand, some artists discuss and talk about themes of numbness or reaching out or feeling alone, even though they're surrounded by other people. And I go through this, but I don't think it's because I am lonely. I don't feel lonely. I feel overwhelmed by people a lot of times. And what it is that I came to the conclusion that people do not care as much as you would assume that they care. And I've been through a lot of things over the years that tell me over and over again that people really do not have the time and the energy to care about everyone. And I especially don't either, because I am in really, really dangerous situations. A lot of times I'm being followed. I have a lot going on. I have a lot of threatening things going on. For instance, I was working with attorneys to avoid eviction. And then when I went to them for help with the bigger picture, they stabbed me in the back. And that is what I have been working with the past couple of days. And what I realized is that people are just too overwhelmed with their own problems to really care about anyone else. And so people are innately selfish in that way. And these days, people are not trying very hard to help other people. They're waiting for someone to tell them to help somebody. They're waiting for their superiors, who are waiting for their superiors, who are waiting for their superiors, for the trickle down, for them to do anything. And people do not have an instinct for an emergency situation. And that's what I had initially thought, that we are so far from removed from our own feelings and compassion. We're so overwhelmed and we're so selfish as people. And you may call me selfish, but the problem is that we don't have an emergency instinct. And what I have been trying to work with is having an emergency instinct, having an urgency, and seeing what happens. And what it is nothing happens. When people call for help, they're often told, like I am, that their situation is not an emergency, when it actually is an emergency. So, when something happens, they don't have anyone to go to after an emergency. Say they're accepted as an emergency victim, something happens. Well, they have no one to follow up with after their emergency is over. So again, I had lawyers. I really feel like, it helped at first. It helped me avoid eviction. And it gave me a little bit of time to get back on track as to what the hell I'm supposed to do, considering my situation. But in the end, I really feel like all my attorneys did that were appointed to me was avoiding doing any legal work that they could. They could have helped me with so many things, but they complained instead of not having the resources or funding to help me with such a situation. And they assume I understand. And what is interesting about that is they've acknowledged that I'm a trafficking victim, even in the paperwork, even in the letter. And they're telling me that, other people handle this kind of thing and they're not going to get involved, which means to me and other people that they're not going to get their hands dirty. And I'm a person who gets involved and gets my hands dirty. Trouble is, I get myself so involved that I'm so overwhelmed, and then I'm in danger, and then when I try to step back, nobody knows what's going on. So nobody really knows what's going on with me in general. Okay, I'm a victim, and then I have a mission, and my mission is to create political art and to do everything with this mission and have the intention that this art that I create, all art that I create, in all things that I do, I keep in mind vulnerable groups and other people like me. And so I try to think about the big picture at all times. The trouble is, other people don't think like this, and they don't really care about what my mission is. And because of this, also, they don't care about my survival. People don't really care about my survival. And what I've discovered is these people in social media, you think that they might know who you are, or other artists out there might think other artists know who they are, and it might feel like they're directly speaking to you, like I'm directly speaking to you right now, and it might feel very direct, and it really might impact you. And that is the power of communication. But what I realized is none of these people have the time or energy to help everyone. And even the people in charge of helping people don't have that kind of time, which is really scary to realize. So what I have realized is maybe there are people who are directly communicating with me in their videos, but they're not following me. I don't see the followers, and so I don't understand what's going on. I think I'm supposed to be getting messages. I apply for jobs and I don't hear back from the businesses. I don't see any work in this area for me. The only work I see is online, and I'm getting tons and tons of fraudulent messages every time I apply for a job. Okay, I am here for the purposes of finding work. I'm not here for hooking up. People have been coercive towards me, and they've been trying to get me to stay online, to stay engaged online, and to be coerced by other people in social media, other influencers, and to be participatory. And that people are always trying to get me to be participatory in what people are doing in general. So whatever it is, I'm supposed to engage and participate with whatever the crowd is doing, right? Well, I'm a nonconformist, and I think for myself, and I always have. So I do not participate with the crowd, and anyone with me has to be with me. So this is what the problem is socially, is I can't get people to be nonconformists with me and think for ourselves. They end up going back to the crowd, which is one of the reasons why socially I don't really have any friends that I trust, and socially I'm not dating. And again, I would much rather not date and not have friends that I can't trust. And my most recent friend backstabbed me as well. And I believe that one of the last person that I tried to date, I saw them hanging around with each other towards the end when I was fighting with that person. Okay, and so I no longer engage either of them, and I was suspicious that they were hooking up behind my back, which is not necessarily untrue, and it's not necessarily my business. The thing is that I've left both of them, and I don't see or hear from them again. And one of the last things that I said is, you're not going to see or hear from me again. And I made that clear, and they don't see or hear from me again. So if they're hooking up, which would be a wild assertion, even if it is that they hook up and talk a lot or share really intimate details, then that's what they're doing. And I let go, and this happens to me a lot. The people that I trust think that something's still going on, and then they turn to each other because they go with the crowd and I don't. And I need people to understand that if you're with me, you're with me, and the crowd is sort of against me in this way. It's an upward hill climb, and they're doing a crime. It's an upward hill climb, and what it is that you think for yourself, and when you think for yourself, you go further than with the crowd. If you're always with the crowd, you blend into the background and nobody really sees you, and you don't stand out. Well, I already found out that I stand out from the crowd, and the crowd never really accepts me anyway because I stand out. Well, what it is if you want to be small, stick with the crowd and do everything the crowd does. But if I do everything the crowd does, then I have to dumb myself way down. And one of the things that I figured out is my problem with my statistics online is that I actually don't have any real friends in town, which means that I can't even start small with a project. I don't have any corporate contacts right now, and I don't have any collegiate contacts. I've really lost touch with everyone, and part of that is because they didn't keep in touch with me. So whatever happens with me and wherever I go in the world, these people didn't follow up, and they didn't keep in touch with me, and they didn't even try, which is abhorrent. I mean, that's pathetic. So I put myself out there, and I open up to every new opportunity and every new door. The trouble is, people do not follow up with me, and they don't stick with me. And I have a lot of talents and skills that could be helpful to them. And I constantly pour in and hold space. Well, I'm not holding space anymore as much, and I'm not pouring in anymore. And it was painful to get to this place. But what I realized is I'm on my own here. And I've been told that before. I'm really on my own. And I identify with being big parts of communities, but I'm not accepted by them in a way where people feel like they're going to open up to me, stay in touch with me, and feel comfortable with that. And what I figured out is that I'm an intimidating figure. I'm intelligent, and I think for myself. I take a stand. I don't let people get away with shit. I use every resource I can. I'm, reporting things that are illegal. I'm reporting things that I'm being a victim of. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I think my sneezing is like some sort of reaction to nervous energy, because there's this guy who walked outside that I've reported him before. He lives a couple doors down. And I reported him. Every time I get overwhelmed, I start sneezing. I reported him for trying to solicit me. Follow me, hang out his car window at me, try to get me to get in his car, solicit me for phone calls. And this all started happening the moment I became unemployed. And he started knocking at my door and things like this. He shouldn't know anything about me. Clearly he's involved in trafficking, and he lives here. And he started showing up around the time exactly when I became unemployed. Okay, other than that, yesterday I received a bizarre, suspicious thing happened. A suspicious thing happened yesterday, which was I was seated in my apartment. I can't stop sneezing. Oh my God, I must be anxious or something. Okay, so there was an attempted break-in into my apartment yesterday, and I actually have my apartment under surveillance now. For several weeks now, I've been trying to figure out how to keep my apartment under surveillance with oh my gosh, I haven't been feeling well lately either. I'll just have you know. Okay, so I've had my apartment under surveillance. I've been monitoring it, and when I come home, I check the cameras. I had an attempted break-in yesterday, and I didn't have surveillance footage of it. I reported it to several of my contacts, but not my attorneys. I'm not telling my attorneys anymore because they've specifically told me that they have no interest in any of this. Well, I mean, that means they have no interest in my safety and survival. So there was an attempted break-in, and I'll tell you how.